It's happened once again, my Northern Hemisphere friends. Summer is long gone, the days are getting shorter, and there's a definite chill in the air. I even sound a little bit stuffy, sorry about that. You've got one of two options then. You can either bundle up in every coat and pair of thick socks you can find and try to brave the outdoors, or you can throw on your pyjamas, toast yourself some crumpets, and embrace a life of hibernation for the next few months. I know which one I'll be choosing. Whilst you're enjoying all things cinnamon-scented and hiding in your pillow fort then, you're going to need something to do. And that's where cozy games come in. You know, the sort of thing where the goal is to make friends, build a community, and do other such wholesome stuff. There are many cozy games out there though, and it might be difficult to know what's worth your time. But don't worry, because Team TripleJump is on hand with some great suggestions. Stick on some lo-fi tunes and get those fuzzy blankets at the ready, because I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 cozy games to snuggle up with this winter. Number 10. Bear and Breakfast. If you went to stay in a bed and breakfast only to be greeted at the front desk by a large bear, you'd probably be somewhat shocked to say the least. Still, if that bear's B&B has cozy autumnal vibes and a mean continental breakfast, then it might be worth giving them a chance, even if they might break into your room at night and nick all your snacks. No, I'm not having some sort of fever dream. This is the basic premise of Gummy Cat Studios' Bear and Breakfast, a laid-back management sim where you, the player, take on the role of Hank, a friendly, forest-dwelling bear who happens upon a cabin and decides to turn it into a B&B. You know, as bears do. Players start out with a decrepit building that they must flip in order to make it appealing to guests. Tidy the place up, segment it into rooms, and then add furniture and decorations to ensure that everyone who stays there is nice and comfortable. If you get tired of lugging beds about though, then you can head out into the local area and explore a little. There are a bunch of NPCs who have quests to complete, and lots of secrets to uncover, all of which come together to reveal a larger story. And, if nothing else, Hank is hella cute. Number 9. Haven Park. Bed and breakfast's not really your thing? Much prefer the outdoors? Not to worry, my friend, because 2021's Haven Park from developers Fabian Weibel and Bubblebird Studio has you covered. Flint is a tiny yellow bird whose grandmother is getting on a bit, and so she asks him to help breathe a little bit of life back into her beloved campsite. In this bright, colourful adventure, players need to ensure that the titular park has all of the amenities that campers will need in order to be able to relax and enjoy the serene beauty of their surroundings. There are plenty of charming characters to meet, and they all have their own idea of what makes the perfect campsite. There's also an element of exploration to the game, so once you've had enough of pitching tents and building campfires, you can take a wander around the area surrounding the park. Doing so will allow you to gather materials, collect coins, discover brand new places, and uncover a few secrets. The game is light on story, but the bit of heartfelt narrative it does provide is more than enough to draw players in and keep them hooked for Haven Park's 3 to 4 hour runtime. Number 8. My Time at Portia. At one point or another, we've probably all wondered what will happen following the inevitable collapse of society. With a bit of luck though, it'll be less Fallout-y and more My Time at Portia-y. This life sim takes place sometime after an apocalyptic event, just as humans are emerging from underground and starting to rebuild the world. The player character is the child of a famous builder who inherits their father's workshop and must help rebuild the city of Portia. In order to craft items, players need to gather resources, and once they've created something, they're able to submit it in order to gain a reward, improving the city in the process. Ultimately, the goal is to become the #1 workshop in Portia. My Time at Portia takes inspiration from Studio Ghibli, and so players will find a beautiful world filled to the brim with whimsical characters, wondrous landscapes, and mysterious goings-on. Delve deep enough, and you may even come across a few monsties. Ooh, not so cozy, but it's okay, as long as you've got your trusty weapon to hand. You know what, if the downfall of civilization results in a future this cool, I say bring on the revolution. Number 7. Dinkum. Oh, crikey, blokes. Or Sheilas. What in the name of Crocodile Dundee do we have here, then? All right, I think that's quite enough of that. Apologies to any Australians I've just offended there. If you're in the market for a cozy game that will transport you all the way to a land down under, though not necessarily one where women glow and men plunder, then you should look in the general direction of Dinkum. This life sim plops players down on an island south of the equator and tasks them with building a home out in the bush. You start out sleeping in a swag, we're told that's Aussie for camping under the stars, and must craft, farm and explore in order to build yourself a home and expand your community. Dinkum is equal parts Minecraft, Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing, but with an added splodge of Vegemite for good measure. At the time of writing, Dinkum is still in early access with no full release confirmed. We implore you not to let that put you off though, as it's already a hugely competent and enjoyable game that will give you the urge to throw another shrimp on the Barbie and other such cliches. Sorry, Australia, if I didn't offend you before, then I definitely have now. Number 6. Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. Fancy catching some mystical creatures, but have no idea where to even start with the Pokemon series? Well then, Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles might just be the game for you. Things kick off with you being shipwrecked and awakening on the island of Jameer. You're greeted by a spirit who tells you you must find their lost family, who will be able to guide you home. In terms of gameplay, players can expect a vast open world to explore, magic sprites to find and collect, and a threat known as the Merc to banish from the land. When you're not trying to restore the island to its former glory, you can also partake in a spot of fishing, crafting, and farming. Not only is there tons of stuff to do here, but the game is also hugely appealing to both the eyes and the ears, with graphics that, whilst not super realistic, are still lovely to look at, and music that rounds off the experience like a cherry atop an ice cream sundae. Sorry, that's not a very wintry simile, is it? According to the lead designer, Cheryl Vance, Yonder is heavily inspired by the likes of Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing, the Legend of Zelda series, and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So if you enjoyed any of those titles, you'll probably find something to love here. Number 5. Garden Story. Being a human is hard, really hard. You spend your entire life going to work, paying bills, and trying not to let in the existential dread. And for what? You know what, maybe I don't want to be a human anymore. It would be much easier to be, a grape. Sadly, technology hasn't progressed far enough to make my fruity dreams a reality, and so I must content myself with Garden Story, the magical, whimsical RPG from developer Picogram. Players jump into the wine-flavoured shoes of Concord, a small purple grape who's been appointed the newest guardian of the grove. The aim is to rebuild the village, protect it from invasive rot, and uncover the grove's hidden past in order to allow Concord to harness the power of their predecessors. The gameplay is fairly combat-focused, with most areas filled with enemies to dispatch. With that said, if you don't want your wholesome experience tainted by the threat of death, you can turn on the Perish Prevention mode, which allows players to progress the story without getting stressed out about the combat. Plus, if you're having a particularly difficult time with a boss, it lets you just peace out and focus on happier pursuits. Now this is the mechanic we all need in real life. Number 4. Cozy Grove. I mean, what could be cozier than a game that literally has the word cozy in its name? Well, according to the order of this list, at least 3 other titles, but I digress. If you prefer your wholesome games to have a slight spooky twist, then it might be worth checking out Cozy Grove, a life sim with just a dash of the supernatural. Players take on the role of a spirit scout as they camp on a haunted, ever-changing island. Each day, players must explore the island and do what they can to soothe and befriend the ghosts, each of whom has their own extensive backstory to unravel. When you're not making friends with the smorgasbord of spectres, you can collect spirit animals, go fishing, and craft decorations that will help bring a bit of colour back to this desolate place. Even if you're not usually a fan of the spooky stuff, it is worth checking out Cozy Grove. There's nothing in the game to frighten, no jump scares and no tense atmosphere, so even the most skittish players can have an enjoyable, stress-free time. And in fact, if you don't give Cozy Grove a chance, you'll be missing out on some beautiful hand-drawn art, an engaging story, and hours upon hours of relaxing entertainment. Number 3. Donut County. So, you like donuts, eh? Do you also like adorable anthropomorphic animals? Well then, by golly, are you going to have a nice time with Donut County, the indie title developed by designer Ben Esposito and published by Annapurna Interactive. The game opens with human Myra texting her raccoon pal BK. She soon finds that BK has become obsessed with a donut delivering app, and he tells her that if he can reach level 10, he'll get a quadcopter drone. However, rather than delivering tasty treats, it transpires that the app is sending actual holes to people, which get bigger and bigger the more things they swallow, and eventually, the entire town is sucked underground. If you've played Katamari Damacy and enjoyed it, then you'll definitely get something out of Donut County, as the gameplay is very similar. Each level, players are given a small hole, and they must use it to swallow any item that can fit in it. As they do so, the hole grows, and eventually it's big enough to consume everything in the area. The gameplay is nice and relaxing, the characters are endearing, the art style and soundtrack are both endlessly charming, and the whole lot comes together into one lovely, bite-sized package. Number 2. Disney Dreamlight Valley. Are you looking for a game that combines all of the best bits of titles like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing with adorable Disney characters? Well then you need to get in on the Disney Dreamlight Valley action. In this cutesy title from developer and publisher Gameloft, players are transported to a magical village that was once home to a plethora of fan-favourite Disney characters, but has fallen into darkness following the Forgetting. By using their magic, players must remove the night thorns that now cover the valley, and utilise the power of friendship to restore the memories of its inhabitants. By cooking, gardening, mining, fishing, and hanging out with the likes of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Moana, players can earn Dreamlight, which is used to unlock different biomes and realms. If spending your days fishing with Goofy, cooking with Remy, or growing plants with Wall-E sounds like your cup of tea, then you're going to love Disney Dreamlight Valley. At the time of writing, the game is in early access, but it already has boatloads of content, with more due to be added in the coming months, including multiplayer and characters from additional Disney franchises. So, if that's not enough to Hakuna your Tartars, then I don't know what is. Sorry, that's inappropriate. And number 1, Spiritfarer. You might not think that ferrying the souls of the dead into the afterlife would be particularly relaxing, and under normal circumstances, you probably wouldn't be wrong. In the world of Spiritfarer, though, it seems like a mighty fine pastime. In the game, players become Stella, a woman who takes on the role of the Spiritfarer, a ferry master who sails the seas looking for lost spirits to take to the afterlife. Whilst aboard Stella's boat, each spirit's needs must be accommodated, which is where the player comes in. Whilst on their travels, players will need to gather materials so they can build things like kitchens and gardens to help the spirits feel more at home whilst on their journey to the afterlife. They can also expand their boat, purchase items like seeds and decorations from vendors, play mini-games to earn additional coins, and uncover each spirit's backstory. Now don't get us wrong, we know the topic of death may be a little heavy for some, but Spiritfarer deals with it in a compassionate way. If you're able to handle the subject matter, you'll find a colourful, charming, and often heartwarming game that will keep you occupied all winter long.